Hello again. Welcome to Connect Africa. South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, is in the United States as we speak, meeting President Donald Trump. South Africa and U.S. have had their beef recently, which is to the extent of that South Africa's ambassador to the United States has been kicked out of the United States and he came back home. He was welcomed, of course, like a hero in South Africa. Now, although several things that we can say about their fate between they are not necessarily friendly countries, but economically there is a big tie there. There are a number of hundreds of U.S. business companies are right now in South Africa. But what triggered is that recent refugees, what they call themselves refugees, the white Afrikaners who went or migrated to the United States by the invitation of the US government. And President Ramaphosa was saying these people, there are about 49 people, do not qualify by any means to be a refugee because they are not under, they are not suppressed people, whether politically, economically, socially, or culture, whatever it is. In fact, those are the people who control the few white Afrikaners are the one who controls the whole South African economy. Now, I will bring you in a moment. We will share, what is happening in the White House there. Ramaphosa and his team meeting Donald Trump and his team as well as we speak. But the question is now, will South Africa get a Zelensky style onslaught live on a national television, or will he be treated differently? That is a question. And South Africa, as you know, is a member of BRICS, which the US is not fan. In fact, it has threatened a number of African countries if they change their, their currency, their international transaction currency to the new currency of BRICS, then he threatened those countries. And South Africa is a country who is in support of Palestine and brought Israel to the ICJ. They are not, again, a fan of that. And South Africa has a deep and strong relationship that has been tested again and again by outsiders, its relationship with Russia. So let's see how all of this will play. Will Ramaphosa be able to strike a deal, or will he get a Zelensky style attack in White House? Let's watch as it's happening live. This footage is from the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC. So I'm going to share that with you. So let's watch it together.
Food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those two things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us. Right. But yeah, it is a battle to get the water out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the water out.
So does your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
there's nowhere to live.
Both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 80. So
this is really interesting. I don't know why they bring, as you can listen, that man is one of, those, who represented the white Africans who migrated to the United States. And he's basically asking him how the situation, how they are treated, what is I don't know why he has to bring them on this meeting, which is president to president. Anyway, let's continue to watch. Oh my God.
It is difficult, but the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I brought along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers. And maybe we should give her a chance to say something because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Trump,
Thank you.
for having us, and President for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that has been made by our government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime. And I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert has said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on AGOA that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we are talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope of ever finding a job. And we think that, correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to, and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, in, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying, President, that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth of. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to AGOA. People rely on it, and I think, as Retief have said, for survival and living. But lastly, for me, President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about it that we are a violent nation, for a number of reasons, and we're not condoning anything. But also, if you go into the rural areas where Black majority are, you would see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered. And these are Black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I mean, I just have to say this, we will continue with that. I just see that President Trump sitting there, and it reminds me a time also where Zelensky came and to beg President Trump, and again Ramaphosa. How embarrassing it is, that he's not obliged to explain anything to America. Really, there's nothing that South Africa owes to the United States. It is true there are a number of business people, who are holding the company comes from the United States and invest in South Africa, and of course it's related with the economy. But they are still doing their business. I mean, it doesn't need for South Africa to drag the whole delegation and the president has to come to talk to. What kind of image, forget all this talk aside, the meaning of it, the symbolism of it. Did you think about that? I don't know, but I just can't help it but thinking of that. Anyway, let's continue to watch.
Genocide is a very strong word. I'm wondering if you can make up your mind as to whether you believe genocide is occurring in South Africa, or you still have doubts? And if you have made up your mind, why invite President Ramaphosa here today?
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives. And no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there. And he did an unbelievable job, I think. I mean, we're going to find out.
Oh my God. Stop the nonsense, President Trump. You said it. You are not trying to save lives. You are interested in making deal. All those peace are, in fact, the term transactional peace is introduced during your term. What you're doing in DRC is giving you, literally giving you, it's mineral in exchange for peace. Isn't that? You said it. You say you want minerals. You want to take over from China, who is there already, and other countries who are the places already being looted. But now what's happening is just that now it's in a public face. What kind of price you have agreed with DRC, we don't know. But you said you are interested in the business. Give us your minerals and we can intervene. What you said with Ukraine also the same thing. You said you have to sell that minerals that you have, and then it's a transactional peace. Do not use the term, we are trying to save lives. Okay. Oh my God.
But he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. Yeah. And that's a very hard living, going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do.
Better than you and I.
Getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough, with lots of people watching, right?
Yes,
That's a very tough living. They're champions. I respect champions, and I respect very much. And I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here.
That's true.
They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful fairway someplace, and they wanted to be here. So.
My name is Yanda Mobo from Newsroom Africa in South Africa.
Good.
How important is it for the United States to be at our G20 summit in November, given the relationship between our two countries? You just heard what has been said to you just now. Are you coming, and are you preparing to come?
So without the United
So let me just give you a quick background. As you know, South Africa is a new member of G20, and it's now the chairmanship is to South Africa, and in November the United States will take over. But the last summit that happened, was it a month ago or something, in South Africa, while all these G20 members came, what happened is, they Rubio, it was about when the South Africa's ambassador to the United States was expelled from the United States, and the Foreign Secretary Rubio purposely has, ditched this G20 summit. And that's why this journalist from Newsroom, which is a South African broadcasting, another broadcasting channel, is asking, will you be there, given, this kind of soured relationship between South Africa and the United States. So now let's hear what he's going to say.
United States, the G20, just like the G7, used to be the G8, but brilliantly they threw Russia out. It would have been a lot better if Russia was in. A lot of people would say, oh, that's not it. Because if Russia was in, you probably wouldn't have this war. And if you had a different president, you wouldn't have the war either. But we have a G7. It's important that the United States is in both of them. I think without the United States, I really believe it's not very important. It's not the same meaning.
As I said to President Trump, the US really originated the G20. And it's important that the United States continues to play a key role in the G20, and we are privileged to be the president of the G20, but we are even overjoyed that we are going to hand over to the United States, who are the originators. And for that reason, I expect the United States to continue playing the leadership role in the G20 together with other countries. And I've said when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want him to come to South Africa for a state visit, and I also want him to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What is it going to take to convince you?
They don't want to leave.
Thank you so much.
How much do you need?
Everybody, please keep moving. Thank you. Keep moving. Thank you. Moving.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you,
Okay, so the question we wanted to leave you, when this thing was over, when this meeting, Ramaphosa versus Donald Trump, was that, will Ramaphosa be shown the door to leave, which is almost what happened to Zelensky. We have seen that insult right in front of us on a national television. Or will Ramaphosa be able to strike a deal? Will Donald Trump listen to Ramaphosa over Elon Musk? Elon Musk has also South African origin. Don't ask me how, but because Musk and right now Elon Musk and South Africa are not on a good terms. And for whose benefit this is happening? Is it an embarrassing, or do you think Ramaphosa was supposed to come and all the way and explaining to Donald Trump? What does it say? All the symbolism of it. But that aside, do you think it was important? In any case, I can answer the first question. At least the room was filled with jokes and people are laughing. But I started to share with you like over halfway of this question and answer session. So I'll just go back a little and share the video. Let it play for you.
We to be handed over the leadership of the G.
But let me want to discuss issues.
Yes.
And by myself to start engaging, and we hope that we will be able to.
It starts from here, so let's watch it. Okay, this is the whole of it.
Do that engagement during our talks, and we also want to discuss issues that have to do with how we promote further investments in both countries. We've got about 22 companies from South Africa that have invested in the US. That's creating a number of jobs. And similarly, you've got almost 600 companies that have invested in South Africa, and some of them have been in South Africa for more than 100 years.
That's true.
So our links are really long-lasting, and we would like to recalibrate those relations between our two countries and discuss a whole range of issues, geopolitical, the work that you're doing to bring peace around the world, in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So we value that, and we are also a great contributor to peace processes that are going on around the world.
Okay.
And of course, we want
Ramaphosa. I hope it's correct now, Riyadh. Some of you have been correcting me. Ramaphosa. Okay, is giving Donald Trump, I think, just what Trump wants to hear, bringing peace, this and that. Well, the man is doing transactional peace. But yeah, maybe that's the best way to strike a deal anyway, right? But let's continue. After this, it will come to the question and answer session, so it's important, so stay tuned, please.
I want to discuss how we can support each other. You are a much, we're just a tiny economy, but we rely on each other on a number of issues. We've got critical minerals that you want to fuel the growth of your own economy and reindustrialize. So we have that on offer, including rare earth minerals. So all that combination of opportunity and the products that we buy from you, as well as what we sell to you, I believe makes up a really good and powerful relationship, which we need to strengthen, which we need to engender. And that is really what has brought us here. And we are really privileged to have great South Africans in the mix. As you said, you'd like to see them as well. And I brought you a really fantastic golf book. Weighs 14 kilograms.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it showcases the golf courses in our country. Johan Rupert wrote preface, so did Annie else. And I want to showcase our golf courses. You might remember when I spoke to you and we spoke about golf, you said I should start practicing. And I've started practicing, President, so I'm ready. But let me end just the introductory remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period.
Right.
And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment. Right? And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators, and you kept to your word, and you delivered respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. Being the small economy that we are, we needed help from around the world. And you were there to provide that. So thank you very much.
I remember the call.
Yeah.
We sent 150 respirators. We became the respirator king. We started making them. Nobody had them. We had very few of them.
That's right.
But they were very helpful. But we sent 150, and I appreciated the letter you wrote me.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much for that. It really touched my heart after I spoke to you and you delivered. So,
great honor.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any questions, please?
Mr. President, we welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We're taking. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting. And we'll see.
But let me end just the introductory remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period.
Right.
And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment. Right. And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators, and you kept to your word, and you delivered respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. Being the small economy that we are, we needed help from around the world.
Oh my God. I mean, President Ramaphosa cut the craft. Just, you don't have to really give him all these things. Just, yeah, good. I mean, you are relevant. South Africa is relevant to the United States, okay? Yeah, let's be honest.
We're there to provide that. So thank you very much.
I remember the call.
Yeah.
We sent 150 respirators. We became the respirator king. We started making them. Nobody had them. We had very few of them.
That's right.
But they were very helpful. But we sent 150, and I appreciated the letter you wrote me a letter.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much for that. It really touched my heart after I spoke to you, and you delivered. So,
great honor.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any questions, please?
Mr. President, you welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can. And we're doing record business on that. And we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yeah. Yes, please. Brian?
Thank you very much. I'd like to get your thoughts on Letitia James, Director Polte. According to him, Letitia James says that the alleged mortgage fraud was simply a mistake. I want to get your thoughts on that. She put down that her father was her husband, and this is very similar to, I guess, the false attacks they had on him.
Well, I don't know what it is currently, but Letitia James, who's the Attorney General of New York State, it seemed, I'm not involved in that at all. I know that it's being handled by various groups, I guess, but it's major fraud, mortgage documents, and fraudulent everything. I think she said the father was her husband, which she had to have a husband, or so she chose her father, and she put it down. And she had didn't she sign in Virginia? Yet she said she lived in Virginia. Yet she's the New York State Attorney General. She did that for tax reasons, so she could take advantage of taxes. and she had the wrong number of units. She had a much different number, which wouldn't have allowed her to qualify and scam the government. So I don't know. I think she's very bad for New York, but I really don't know too much about it, but I appreciate the question. Thank you very much. Yes.
Mr. President, what's the for you to be convinced that there's no genocide?
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. So May 25th will be the celebration of Africa Day, which pretty much a lot of celebration will be taking place around the world, including here in the United States. What is your message to the entire African continent, African people in this important occasion?
Well, I want to see peace, and I want to see happiness. I want to see health, and you have incredible land. There's tremendous value. A lot of countries don't have that value in the land. The value you have. We have a situation. I think you probably heard about it. We've done through some very talented people help settle a war that's been raging for years. Rwanda and the Congo, and I think we've done it. Believe it or not, I think we've done it. And could you just say a few words about that, my friend?
Yes. A couple of weeks ago, the two parties signed a declaration of principles in which they agreed on the way forward, and they have both submitted their draft peace agreements, and we have put together one that incorporates both of their suggestions, and we've given it to them. So we're in the process of finalizing.
Looking good, right?
Looking very good.
No, we have to thank you for even those efforts, because the African continent, particularly SADC, our Southern African Development Community, has for years been seeking to foster peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So all efforts, including those from outside the continent and inside the continent, are really worthwhile. We are removing our troops from there so that peace can then prevail in that whole area. And we hope that with the support of the international community, we will really have peace in that area. It's so vital, it's so important for the whole region.
Well, we sent our people there, and I think we did a very good job. I said it by my friend, and that was great. That was great. I mean, I'm just hearing phenomenal reports, because all I'm hearing is death, and they're chopping heads off, and it's horrible over there. And it was really brave of you to go there, and I really appreciate it. And it looks like we have something very, very substantial. We also talked about trade with them in terms of rare earth and all, but really more for it's like, if you take a look at what we just did with Pakistan and India, we settled that whole thing, and I think I settled it through trade. We're doing a big deal with India. We're doing a big deal with Pakistan, and I said, "What are you guys doing?" Somebody had to be the last one to shoot, but the shooting was getting worse and worse, bigger and bigger, deeper and deeper into the countries, and we spoke to them, and I think I hate to say we got it settled, and then 2 days later, something happens, and they say it's Trump's fault. But Pakistan has got some excellent people and some really good, great leader. And India is my friend, Modi. And he's a
mutual friend.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. And I called them both, and we just did something good. We're trying to settle Russia, Ukraine. Spoke with President Putin for 2.5 hours the day before yesterday. I think we made a lot of progress, but that's a bloodbath. 5,000 people are being killed a week, 5,000 soldiers a week, not including people in cities and towns that are also being killed. So we're trying to help. And it doesn't affect us. It's not our people. It's not our soldiers. It's Ukraine and it's Russia. But if we can save 5,000 souls, we'll do it. We're pretty good at it. But that's a bad situation. That is a really bad situation.
Well, you'd recall when President
I was muted. So President Trump says it doesn't affect us what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. Yes, it might not be your soldiers, but it's your weapon, it's your money, it's your taxpayers are funding these billions of dollars that Biden has been giving, and also the European Union. So you are affected. That's why you don't want to continue. It's like, don't be like, as the French people say, indifférent, like you are not affected. So it's not something. It's not it is America's issue because you are pouring money in it, and now you want to get out because it has been too much. And of course you want, okay, you did not stop, you want us to give you a weapon, then you have to make a transaction. So as long as Zelensky continue buying selling minerals to you, you are going to continue to sell him weapon. But of course, to cut it short, to make them have signed that peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, that's wonderful if it happens. But I hate it when he just makes it like, it's not, America was not, it was affected. Maybe not your money directly.
Zelensky was coming to South Africa. That's when I spoke to you.
That's right.
We both agreed that we need to push the peace message so that there can really be peace. And we've been involved in the Ukraine-Russia conflict for quite a while. Through my Minister of State Security here, we've been dealing with them in the exchange of children who were taken away, going through names and addresses and all that. So we've been invested in that whole process as well. And the moves that you're making are fully supported by us because we would like to see the end of that war.
That's true. I called Zelensky and they said, he's in South Africa. I said, what the hell is he doing in South Africa?
He was talking to us.
We got this one.
I like his sense of humor, so he says what he says, and then he tries to kind of make it soft, but anyway.
South Africa.
Yes.
That's a strange one.
He's trying to make peace. Or we're taking him. We were lucky because we had the great Nelson Mandela who taught us how to create peace, to make peace. So we were imparting some of those lessons to him, some of those learnings. And I specifically mentioned to him that this is how Nelson Mandela taught us that when you want to have the peace in a country, do it on an unconditional basis and sit down and talk. And that's precisely what I'm sure he's going to heed.
Well, we're going to see what happens with that one. It's there's a lot of hatred.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death. It's a bloodbath.
It is.
I get
unfortunately.
I get the satellite pictures of that field, of that killing field.
Mm.
You never saw anything like it in your life. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing that goes on, but I think we've made big progress. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, not you. Right here. He's from South Africa. Go ahead, please.
What are you expecting on the ICJ case? Are you expecting South Africa to drop that? Is that what you're trying to do?
On which case?
Oh my God.
International criminal justice.
Oh my God.
I don't
Okay.
expect anything, to be honest. I really don't. I don't know. It's they've got cases, a lot of anger there, tremendous anger. I don't expect anything. We'll see what happens. We'll have a ruling, and who knows what the ruling is going to mean.
Yeah.
On that subject.
Definitely. You can put your people to say what what you want to say, but he has a good. I don't expect nothing. He's just I rule it. Even ICJ. Let's see. You don't know. Maybe we will have a surprise. That's what the president is saying directly.
Mr. President, are you going to be speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Israel's renewed offensive there? There's been a lot of concern from European countries. The Pope has expressed concern. Are you going to be asking Prime Minister Netanyahu to tone down the offensive in Gaza to let more aid in?
Was that a question or a statement? This guy, you never change.
Mr. President, what will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the president.
Oh my God, what white genocide? From where that term comes? who formulated this word? It's insane. Huh?
For him, no, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer that. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah, let me-
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on the quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But Mr. President,
Oh my God, yeah. So just for those of you who don't know, like the South African president, he was recently, like a day ago, or 2 days ago, he was in the CEO meeting in Ivory Coast, by the way, with Ivory Coast president, Rwanda's president Kigali, and they were on the stage, having a question and answer session. So he was asked if there are white refugees. He said, none of them do not qualify the definition of refugee by any standard, because they are not under any oppression of whether be it political, cultural, or social, or economical. Yeah, so that's why he's saying he will not repeat himself.
President, I must say
President
that
Trump.
we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it.
Sure.
And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and that. Is Natalie here, somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
We have, let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down, and just put this on, it's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa, occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, we can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament.
Oh my God, I think we have like Julius Malema person there. He said, who are you to tell us we are going to occupy land? Oh my God, let's see how this goes.
Yes, Honorable Member. Never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing.
Oh, that's Malema himself. Oh my God. Okay, that's Malema. They're playing a video or something audio for him. I think that's AFF demonstration, the economic freedom fighters. Oh my God. Ramaphosa is sweating there. Do you see him cleaning? Oh my God. He's drying his sweat. You don't know what to say in front of Trump.
Because we have touched a white man. Not because Pajama and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched. Come on.
Ramaphosa is laughing as well. Oh my gosh. So Malema has made it, in other words, to the White House. Okay. Ramaphosa is sweating.
Was not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refugee in America.
Okay, that's Malema. He said if they can seek a refugee in the United States. So this is what maybe they sent him these videos, the white Afrikaners, and say that we are threatened, so we are going to be killed. This and that. So that's what the president. He wanted Ramaphosa and his delegation to watch it or rewatch it. I just can't wait at this point. What is the reaction of Malema when he hears is that his video has been opened, for the two delegations to be watched and relive the moment. I mean, right after this live streaming, I'm gonna go to Economic Freedom Fighter platform and see what his reaction. Anyway, let's continue.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it. Both sides of the road, you have crosses.
I mean, this is verification. Nobody deserves to be, killed.
Those people were all killed.
I am just asking how much.
They told you where that is, Mr. President?
Asking Ramaphosa'S.
No, I'd like to know where that is, because
Look,
this I've never seen.
This is dramatic. Really, a drama is unfolding.
I mean, it's in South Africa.
It's in South Africa. But what caused that death? Were they killed? Do you have a proof? Even Ramaphosa is not informed of what. Like, most of the time, what happened in closed door comes, they agree on something and they come and tell you on a national television. But this looks like totally a surprise thing from Trump delegation. Let's see.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
You to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay?
Okay.
And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing, they also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment.
Wow.
In addition to the jet. Go back, you ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because Brian Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated. They are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet. Let's go.
Thank you so much. President Trump, and it's last from EMCA in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death, of people. Death, 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 horrible death, death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is all, I mean, I'll give these to you. So when you say, what would I like to do? I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently. And,
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried. And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know, you are so bad. You're such a bad reporter. This is one after another. This family was wiped out. I'm just looking.
Can we get a response from President Ramaphosa,
Your
please?
reaction to those videos?
Yeah.
Well, I think the videos are so, no, when you look at the videos, I mean, how does it get worse? And these are people that are officials, and they're saying that kill the white farmer and take their land. That's what it is. And I have other friends in South Africa, I have people that left, one in particular that says you can't go there. He said they want to take your land, they take your land and they kill you. It's okay, and they say it's okay to do. Now, we're going to talk about it, but this is a tremendous, look, this is story recent. These are all people that recently got killed. And I don't know how it can get any worse. These are, and you know, the men that you saw, the people that you saw in that movie, those are officials. Those are people that were in office. They had one march, they had a dance in your parliament, whatever you may call it, legislature.
Well,
and
let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that, because what you saw, the speeches that were being made, one, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies. And in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying, even in the parliament.
Call his name, Julius
A
Malema.
small minority party, which is allowed to exist in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
And then
take
when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens.
There is criminality in our country.
Okay.
People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The
been
farmers are
utilized.
black. The farmers are not black.
We
I don't
now-
say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off, they died violently. And, you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force? Okay, United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force, so they could help us out, because we need an Air Force One until that's Air Force One, it's being built, 2 of them being built. But Boeing's a little bit late, unfortunately. So why did they give us a plane to the United States Air Force? That's what that idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people.
Ramaphosa is almost begging, let me answer. You know, he at this point you overrun and talk because this is your chance to talk. But of course, again, he might get the fate of Zelensky to be told, perhaps shut up, the president is speaking. He's kind of timid there. Okay, I mean, he needs to respect, but yeah, it just doesn't look good, you know. On the other token, what tells us is that nobody deserves to be killed, okay? Be white, it's not about race, black or whatever, but lots of crimes are happening and committed against the black people, but that don't get a headline in the United States. The United States only care about those white people. If you really about South Africans, you would have cared what's happening to millions of South Africans, which is a gender-based violence that's happening against elderly South African women, black women, children, black children. But it's all about race, right? Isn't it? Anyway, let's continue.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. But coming
back
and
perhaps I don't bother you. Yeah, he just definitely demonstrates how transactional he is.
To this issue, which I really would like us to talk about. Talk about
don't interrupt.
Very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about them. And this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States,
those are all racist. Those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that we are willing to talk to you about. Let me just add quickly, the criminality that we are experiencing in our country needs quite a lot of technological capability. And in one of our areas in South Africa, we're using US technology, which is able to, in many ways, identify where shootings are happening and all that. And I'd like to talk about that because there is support that we can get from you as the United States to help us deal with all these acts of criminality. And that is what I believe partnership is all about.
Exactly.
And we are here as a partner so that we can help each other whenever there are challenges. So I'd like us to discuss it, and of course, outside of the media, so that we sit down and have a really good discussion that will lead to good outcomes.
Are there any other punitive measures that could be in place should you not be satisfied that South Africa is fixing some of the very bad things in the comments that you tweeted are happening?
Well, there are a lot of bad things happening in many countries, but this in particular has been very, very bad, and because of we're going to have the whole world watching in another short period of time because you have the G20, and that's a big deal. And it seems like, I want you to look good. I don't want you to look bad.
Very good.
But we have hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to come into our country because they feel they're going to be killed and their land is going to be confiscated. And you do have laws that were passed that gives you the right to confiscate land for no payment. You can take away land for no payment.
I want to clarify that because we have a constitution. Our constitution guarantees and protects the sanctity of tenure of land ownership. And that constitution protects all South Africans with regard to land ownership. However, we do say, because we've got to deal with the past, the government, and as your government also has the right to expropriate land for public use.
And you're doing that.
And we've never really gotten underway with that. And we are going to be doing so.
You're taking people's land away
we have not.
From them. And those people, in many cases, are being executed. They're being executed. And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that? They're taking people's land away, and in many cases, those people are being executed. And in many cases, it's not the government that's doing it. It's people that kill them and then take their land, and nothing happens to them. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country. They're also going to Australia in a smaller number. But we have thousands of people that want to come into our country, and they're white farmers, and they feel that they're going to die in South Africa. And it's a bad thing. Yeah, please.
What can South Africa do? What concessions would you like to see them make to improve relations with the United States? Then I have one more for President Ramaphosa afterwards.
Well, we just spoke about, I got them a very, very complex machine, 150 of them. I was asked by the president if he could help, and I did that. And, I have great feeling for all countries. I deal with all countries, but I have a great feeling for South Africa because I have friends. I have a couple of friends, a few friends here today. I have many friends from South Africa, but many of those friends are not, they can't go back. I have Elon is from South Africa. I don't want to get Elon involved. That's all I have to do, get him into another thing. But Elon happens to be from South Africa. This is what Elon wanted. He actually came here on a different subject, sending rockets to Mars, okay? Yes. He likes that better. He likes that subject better. That's right. But Elon is from South Africa, and I don't want to talk to him about that. I don't think it's fair to him. That's right. But I will say that people are fleeing South Africa for their own safety. Their land is being confiscated, and in many cases, they're being killed. And that scene of, you see how many crosses they have. Those crosses, that's a dead person in every one of them. And those trucks or cars are paying their respects to all of those dead people on a Sunday morning. That's a rough thing to explain away. And the problem we have, and the way, a correct and a fair media exposes things. But we have a very corrupt media. They won't even report this. If this were the other way around, it would be the biggest story. Now, I will say apartheid, terrible. That was the biggest story. That was reported all the time. This is sort of the opposite of apartheid. What's happening now is never reported. Nobody knows about it. All we know is we're being inundated with people, with white farmers from South Africa. And it's a big problem. Marco Rubio was telling me he's never seen anything like it. The numbers of people that want to leave South Africa because they feel they're going to be dead very soon. Yes, please.
I was going to say,
Brian, go.
If I could just ask you a question. 72% of farmers in your country are white. If they flee, do you feel that maybe the economy could collapse? You may not have a gap to fill in those people that need to replace those farmers.
I'd like my Minister of Agriculture, who is white, who comes from an opposition party to mine, who's joined my government at my invitation to address this very issue, including the question that you've just raised. John?
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you for welcoming us to the White House. I would say we have a rural safety problem in South Africa. I don't think anyone wants to candy coat that. And it requires a lot of effort to get on top of it. It's going to require more policing resources. It's going to require different strategy to be able to deal with it. But certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too, they have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Mkhonto Wesizwe under Mr. Zuma and the economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now, the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30
Oh my God. So I was talking mute. So the person who talked is John Steenhuisen. He is the president of Democratic Alliance political party, which is representing the white Afrikaners. And he, he created in the last election of South Africa when ANC lost majority, then they were forced to create an alliance, so they formed this national government union, and the DA became throwing away EFF and others the favorite party for ANC to form that national government union. And the DS are, they have been representing the white Africans. Much of the economies is even they are called the Steenhuisens. So that's how they are called. And his name is John Steenhuisen. And thanks to Wodemaya, and we also have made a report about it. There's Oranjewijk or something, an area in South Africa that actually wants to get its independence, and which parts like DA are supporting it. So now he tells you, DA, straight on your face here in White House, we came in the parliament and creating that government union with Ramaphosa, shaking hands purposely to throw away people like Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma. That's exactly what he said right now. So yeah, let's continue.
30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor and but certainly the majority of South Africa's commercial and smallholder farmers really do want to stay in South Africa and make it work. And I've just come from the largest agricultural show in the Southern Hemisphere with organized agriculture and farmers, and the majority of them want to stay. But they too there have a memorial to those who've died as a result of farm attacks. And as the Minister of Agriculture, it is something that I'm particularly exercised with my colleagues at police and my colleagues in the justice cluster to start making farm attacks and stock theft a priority crime. And it affects all farmers in South Africa, particularly stock theft. It has a disproportionate effect on smallholder black farmers. I also want to just say this, that the two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. Mkhonto Wesizwe under Mr. Zuma and the economic freedom fighters under Mr. Malema. Now, the reason that my party, the Democratic Alliance, which has been an opposition party for over 30 years, chose to join hands with Mr. Ramaphosa's party was precisely to keep those people out of power. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings making decisions. And that is why after 30 years of us exchanging barbs across the floor in Parliament and trying to get one over on each other, we've decided to join hands precisely to keep that lot out of government, because the day they get in to the doors of the union buildings in South Africa or control of our parliament, that's what you're going to see. And that is why this government, working together, needs the support of our allies around the world so that we can strengthen our hand, grow our economy, and shut the door forever on that rabble getting through the doors of the union buildings, because then South Africa's future will be.
So you announced that type of language in the video that you saw.
Oh, yes, we've always done so. As government, as my own party, we are completely opposed to that. We, in 1955, adopted a document which said South Africa belongs to all who live in it.
But why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing, and it's kill the white farmers. I think, I'm not sure, but I think if somebody got up in Parliament and started saying, kill a certain group of people, he would be arrested very quickly. That man is going all over South Africa, and that's not a small party. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation. And those crosses, we have dead white people, dead white farmers, mostly. And you take a look at Australia, they're being inundated, and we're being inundated with people that want to get out. And their farm is valueless. It's valueless. And they just want to get out with their life. And this is a very serious situation.
Oh my God. Now Donald Trump is telling Ramaphosa, why don't you arrest Julius Malema? I just wait for the reaction of Julius Malema on this. Maybe as I share this video live here with you, maybe he's already addressing the media. Let's see how will this turn out. But what does it mean for Ramaphosa? Julius Malema is also, who is loved, and people love him for his leadership, for his objectivity, for his aim of to get back the land of South Africa to the majority Black people. He's not against, he's not a racist, by the way. That's why most of you get, but he is all about, as the name suggests, economic freedom fighters. That's his political party says. And I don't know, how it feels also for Ramaphosa right now. Arrest him? Like, who are you to tell him so?
And if we had a real news or real press or media, we don't have that, because they won't talk about this, because they're all guys like that idiot. But if we had a real press, it would be exposed. And the beauty of exposing it is it's like a cleansing action. When it gets exposed, it'll get fixed. That's when it'll get fixed. But people don't talk about it. And I'll tell you who's talking about the thousands of people that are fleeing South Africa right now.
We discussed USAID and the devastating impact that cuts are having across the African continent.
It's devastating, and hopefully a lot of people are going to start spending a lot of money. And I've talked to other nations. We want them to chip in and spend money too. And we've spent a lot, and it's a tremendous problem going on in many countries. A lot of problems going on. The United States always gets the request for money. Nobody else helps, as you know. Europe doesn't help. Europe hasn't given anything. All they do is sue our companies. They sue Apple, and they sue all of our companies. Apple had to pay $17 billion on a nonsense lawsuit. Very unfair. But we're going to always be there to help.
Sherman Rice for South African Broadcasting. If this Afrikaner resettlement issue is resolved, we're going to go into a room after this. You guys are going to talk. If it is resolved, what is the potential for the future-looking relationships?
It's fantastic. It's got to be resolved. It should be resolved. It's a little bit bad when you see a stadium with 100,000 people in it, because that means it's more than just a little movement. It's a pretty big movement in South Africa. So it has to be resolved. It'll be the end of the country if it's not.
Is there potential for the relationship moving forward?
I hope so. That's why I'm here. I'm not here for my health. I'm here to see what it is. No, I'd like to see. I have friends. I can tell you, Ernie Els and Retief Goosen, they feel so strongly they wanted to be here on behalf of South Africa, not on behalf of me. And, they said, can we be here for this? Because they love the country. Ernie, do you guys want to say a couple of words? I hate to put you in this. This is tougher than sinking a 3-footer. They have, and they've sank many 3-footers.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thanks for the honor of being here. We've known each other a long time. We have spoken. We're proud South Africans. I still have my South African passport. We travel with this passport, and I got my visa here. So, but we want to see things get better in our home country. That's the bottom line. It's been 35 years since the transition. President Ramaphosa was right in the middle of the transition time in 1990 and before that. So it's been 35 years of ANC government, and I know there's a lot of anger, through the transition. There's also a lot of stuff happening in the apartheid days. We grew up in the apartheid era, but I don't think two wrongs makes a right. President Mandela, when he came out of prison for all that time, didn't come out with hatred, and really unified our nation through sport. We won the Rugby World Cup in '95.
4 times.
We won the African Nations Cup, soccer. We won some majors as golfers and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, this has been a long time coming. That's why we really wanted to meet you, meet the administration, and see our way forward, because we still want to see our country flourish. We've got some great things going on. Business is getting involved with government. Farmers are getting involved in local municipalities, trying to rebuild some of the infrastructure that's been decaying for a long time. So there's a lot of coexistence going on and help from a lot of areas, but I feel we need the US to push this thing through. We've got a great ally we can have, the US. It's always been an ally of South Africa for a very long time, even in the days of the war, up in Angola. You guys helped us. So very important for us to have your support and get the change we need.
Where did you do that well? You might have done that even better than he plays golf, which is almost impossible. Johan, please.
Mr. President, if you had to wind all of those tapes properly, you will see I'm the biggest target of that rabble rouser. Number one for over 10 years, Mr. Malema. In fact, the first time I met him, he was in the youth league with that gentleman. And look how he's changed.
Right.
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board. And we need technological help. We need Starlink at every little police station. We need drones. I actually got drones donated for the peace parks to stop elephant and rhino poaching. And his predecessor stopped the importation because he said the United States would spy on us. I mean, US basics, the ridicule. So if you can help us. Remember, sir, you and I lived in New York in the 70s. We never thought New York would be what it became. 2 commissioners, a tough mayor. We need your help to stop this awful killing. But it's across the board. Ernie is right now building a house in George
I'm building 3 cottages for my grandchildren on a farm outside Graaff-Reinet. I often go to bed without locking the door. And we have a serious problem with illegal aliens who stream across the border. And if you really look at our statistics, a lot of these murders, firstly, it's unemployment and illegal aliens. And then I met Vice President Bartz many years ago, the Charlie Rose show. My wife loved the book. And she reminded me this morning that you emphasized the devastation that occurs when big companies leave towns and cities, and there's a culture of dependency that develops. I remember you discussing it. Now that's our problem. If we don't get our economy to grow, the culture of dependency and the lawlessness will increase. I've again been against apartheid all my life, and I'm their #1 target. Please just Google my name and Malema. You'll see it, sir. He marched on the farm.
But the crime is bad.
The crime is terrible, sir, but Mr. Steenhuisen won't admit to it, but he runs the Western Cape, where I live. And the biggest murder rate is in the Cape Flats. Gangs. We've got gang warfare. Like your M33, what were these guys? We've got equivalents there, but we need your help, sir. And we need Elon technology.
Well, one of the real areas of support is really in investments. We've got to grow our economy, because through growing the economy, we're then able to create more jobs. Because crime really thrives where there is inequality and unemployment. And that is one of the reasons that has brought us here, to improve our investment relations, our trade relations, so that we can preserve the number of jobs that your companies have created in South Africa. By virtue of what we export to you, we are able to create up to 500,000 jobs in the auto industry, in the agricultural industry, and a number of other industries, mining, where we export things to you. And we also know that as South African companies invest here, you are also able to create jobs. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. So our main real reason for being here is to foster trade and investment, so that we are able to grow our economy with your support, and so that we are also able to address all these societal problems, because criminality thrives when people are unemployed, when they have no other hope to eke out a living. So that is what we need to resolve. And your support, your partnership with us is what is really going to give us a strong capability to move forward.
Retief, excuse me, do you have anything to say? I mean, I don't want to leave you out. You know, the guy won 3 or 4 majors. 3 or 4?
No, only 2.
2. That's a lot. By the way, 2's a lot. A lot of tournaments you won too. You have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. President Ramaphosa. I grew up in an area in South Africa that is a farmland area, Polokwane.
Yep.
And there is some issues up there. Obviously, my dad was a property developer as well as a part-time farmer. And yeah, some of these buddy farmers got killed. The farm is still going. My brothers run it, but it's a constant battle with farms they're trying to burn the farms down to chase you away. So it is a concern to try and make a living as a farmer. And at the end of the day, without farmers, there's no food on the plate. So we need the farmers to produce the food.
Farming, right? He wouldn't even want to do what you're doing, right? They love farming. They don't want to leave. But it's a struggle.
Yeah, and food and fresh water is the most important thing in life. Without those 2 things, you can't survive.
How is the water there?
The water is great. Obviously, all the water comes out of the borehole, out of ground for us down there. But yeah, it is a battle to get the ore out sometimes when all the equipment gets stolen all the time that you're trying to get the
So
ore
does
out.
your family and your brother, do they feel safe on the farm?
They live behind electric fences, you know, try and be at night safe. But it is constant whenever you leave that something could happen. And
There's nowhere to live.
you know, both of them has been attacked in their houses. My mom's been attacked in her house when she was 80. So it is difficult. But you know, the guys live a great life despite everything going on.
Something.
President Trump, I brought along the president of the largest trade union in our country, Ziggy Solosi, because she leads many, many workers, more than 1 million, 2 million workers. And maybe we should give her a chance to say something, because she's come all the way to join us.
Thank you very much, Mr. President Trump,
Thank you.
for having us, and President for extending the invitation to us as organized labor. And I must say that we are here to support the initiative that has been made by our...
Before the trade union president speaks, I noticed that I was muted. So I was saying that the last one who spoke, he said, yes, in spite of everything, the last white man that spoke before her said, in spite of everything, his family there live a great life. Yes, thank you for telling the truth, because no Black Africans get to live the way white South Africans live in South Africa, because they are the richest people. They have all the means to look after themselves for the security. I'm not saying nobody, not the Black Africans, not the white Africans, not the colored ones, not the Indians, nobody should die, but it's so exaggerated. In fact, it is insulting to say that while it's many Black people who are victim of this, then you make it that yours is like the white Africaners' life is much important than the Black South Africans. If it's all about criminality, then you have to be here also, and you have to talk about the Black Africans, South Africans that are attacked by these criminals. And, you know, truth to behold, and later on we will see who is sponsoring those criminals. You know, I have come across videos and texts, written things. There's so much deeper things into it, but let's continue and watch or listen to the president of the Workers' Union in South Africa, because she is also part of the delegation.
Government with business, of course, as organized labor. We've been coming to Washington on the AGOA trade relations in the previous regime. And I think at the center of it all, for me, it is exactly what Mr. Rupert has said, the importance of us growing the economy. We have always emphasized when we were here and kept on coming and negotiating on AGOA that the 600 US companies that are based in South Africa, as you said, President Ramaphosa, 500,000 jobs will be wiped out. We need more foreign direct investment in our country. We are not just talking about those that will lose employment, but we are talking about over 40% of people that are unemployed, that have no hope of ever finding a job. And we think that, correctly, as they have said, that we need to deal with the issue of porous borders in our country, so that everyone that comes in is documented. We also need to, and I would have thought that the minister would address the issue of land expropriation and how the policy works in South Africa. Recently, President, as you were preparing to come here on the news, in, I think it was in Natal, there was a handover of farms, and white farmers were saying, we are donating the land, but also there's a willing buyer, willing seller in South Africa. So there is no expropriation without compensation, but it is a willing buyer, willing seller. And that white farmer was even saying, President, that the government is even paying more in buying the land than what the land is worth of. And I think those are the realities, President, that we must say that we need to address, of course, but also the importance of agriculture linked to AGOA. People rely on it, and I think, as Retief have said, for survival and living. But lastly, for me, President, is also the issue of the crime statistics. There is no doubt about it that we are a violent nation, for a number of reasons, and we're not condoning anything. But also, if you go into the rural areas where Black majority are, you would see women, elderly, being raped, being killed, being murdered. And these are Black elderly women that would be found throat slits, raped multiple times, and all of that. And the problem in South Africa, it is not necessarily about race, but it is about crime. And we think that we are here to say, how do we, both nations, work together to reset, to really talk about investment, but also help us in how we can have the technology and everything that is needed, President, to really address the levels of crime that we have in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
President Trump,
Genocide is a very strong word. I'm wondering if you can make up your mind as to whether you believe genocide is occurring in South Africa, or you still doubt, and if you have made up your mind, why invite President Ramaphosa here today?
Well, I haven't made up my mind. I hate to see it from the standpoint of South Africa, but also, I'm trying to save lives. I'm working with Russia and Ukraine. I don't have to do that. It's not our war. It was started by other people. It was helped along by our past administration. It would have never happened if I were president, but I'm trying to save lives, no matter where. Rwanda, I have nothing to do with Rwanda and the Congo, but I felt I had a very talented person in this administration, and I sent him there, and he did an unbelievable job, I think.
Again, I will say this. He say, I have nothing to do there. Like, it's not our people. But no, you said it yourself, President Trump. This is as a result of a trade deal that you have achieved, that you are doing. DRC have invited you to intervene in exchange of their minerals. The same thing, Rwanda is also inviting you to sell, their minerals to you from where it is looted, by the way, from where it comes, the minerals that Rwanda is selling to you. You don't care. Eventually, you just care about the minerals that you get to secure the trade deal. This is, the term transactional peace is coined in your term, in your second term now, in this past couple of months, right? So it's not because the US cares. Russia to Ukraine. You said it to yourself, to Ukraine, the president of Zelensky, sell your minerals to us, and then that's how we're going to support you with weapon. Otherwise, there is no way we're going to pour billions of dollars like your predecessor have been doing. So this impression that Donald Trump is trying to create, it's not our problem. No, it has become your problem because there are things that you want. So in exchange of that, you don't care. So you are still going to sell weapon to Zelensky, isn't it, after that transactional deal?
We're going to find out, but he's done the hardest part of the job. It should happen. If I can save lives, I want to save the lives. If it's in Africa, that's great. If it's in Europe, if it's wherever it may be. And it's a very small investment to do, believe me, compared to what the consequences are. So I hope we can do something. Look, I have so many friends. These two men, I have great admiration for them because I know what they do for a living. Yeah. And that's a very hard living, going from city to city, from country to country, and hitting a ball 350 yards like they do. And
better than you and I.
Getting the ball in the hole. It's a very tough, with lots of people watching, right? Yes, that's a very tough living. They're champions. I respect champions. And I respect very much, and I think the country is very lucky. They really wanted to be here.
That's true.
They could be elsewhere. They could be on a beautiful fairway someplace, and they wanted to be here. So.
My name is Yanda Mobo from Newsroom Africa in South Africa.
Good.
How important is it for the United States to be at our G20 summit in November, given the relationship between our two countries? You just heard what has been said to you just now. Are you coming, and are you preparing to come?
So without the United States, the G20, just like the
A quick background: the United States will take over from South Africa the chairmanship of G20 in November. So why she's asking that is South Africa, after they take over last November, they have already, the summit there. Was it a month before or something? But because of the fate that has been going on between South Africa and the United States, the foreign secretary of the United States has ditched that summit, because just a few days before that, the South African ambassador to the US was expelled by the United States. So things have gotten pretty much tensioned. So this is why the South African broadcasting service from Newsroom, the lady is asking him if he will be there. Well, Trump said what he's good at. He said, the G20 without US is nothing. But he says also something interesting. Listen.
The G7 used to be the G8, but brilliantly they threw Russia out. Would have been a lot better if Russia was in. A lot of people would say, oh, that's not it. Because if Russia was in, you probably wouldn't have this war. Mm. And if you had a different president, you wouldn't have the war either. But we have a G7. It's important that the United States is in both of them.
Yeah, that's important. If Russia was in, then, they will use their veto power, and that war would have had happened. Well.
Without the United States, I really believe it's not very important. It's not the same meaning.
As I said to President Trump, the US really originated the G20. And it's important that the United States continues to play a key role in the G20. And we are privileged to be the president of the G20, but we are even overjoyed that we are going to hand over to the United States, who are the originators. And for that reason, I expect the United States to continue playing the leadership role in the G20 together with other countries. And I've said, when I initially spoke to President Trump on the phone, I want him to come to South Africa for a state visit. And I also want him to come and participate in the G20. And I want to gladly hand over to President Trump to take the leadership of the G20 forward in November.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What is it going to take to convince you?
They don't want to leave.
They like you so much.
How much do you need?
Everybody, please keep moving. Thank you. Keep moving. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Outside? Oh, we didn't bring them in. Oh.
So you have seen it. That's how it is ended. This, meeting between President Ramaphosa and President Donald Trump with a question and answer session. A lot have happened. It was in the middle. It got a bit of. It was a tension, and President Ramaphosa was kind of intimidated when President Donald Trump played that video of Julius Malema, his speech from a stadium and in Parliament, and from Jacob Zuma, from those two opposition parties. But a lot have been, tabled. And we have listened also from John Steenhuisen, the agricultural minister of South Africa, who is also the president of DA parties, representing the white people in South Africa. So, when we started to stream this, our question was that will President Ramaphosa will get the fate of President, will get, a Zelensky-style attack and be shown the door. That was the thing. I think no, but also there were times, there was a time that he was kind of roasted. How President Trump is, he just talk, he refuses to understand sometimes. And the things that all those graveyards, that what he's saying is, even President Ramaphosa is not aware of it. He said, do you know where is this place in South Africa? He said, you don't know. Trump's answer was, of course, as foolish as he can be sometimes, but it's in South Africa. That's the most important. That's what he told him. So, and at some point also he told him, why don't you arrest Julius Malema? He didn't call him by his name, but why don't you arrest this guy? How can you allow him to have such a speech? It's a hate speech. It's good that President Ramaphosa did not say anything against Malema. He just said, no, it doesn't mean that this is the rule of the government, or this is the policy of the government, something that we oppose. Well, we wait tonight now the response from EFF President Julius Malema, and from the other new opposition party, from Zuma's party. We expect a press briefing, and I am dying and I'm living and loving for that. And as soon as we have it, we are going to air it to you. We're going to share it live. And let us know in the comment section, what do you think of how did it go? Ramaphosa's meeting with President Trump, was South Africa was able to strike any deal? Was it really significant? Do you think it will ease the tension now South Africa and the US are having? Well, South Africa is the founder of BRICS and still a strong ally of Russia because of their history of apartheid, and that will remain so. And South Africa has brought Israel to ICJ. And but it seems that it's not the US is not bothered by that, because clearly Trump said, let's see what will ICJ say. So probably the ICJ might say he will just, they will just let go the case. But yeah, so that was it. I will leave it to you whether you rate it as successful or not, this meeting between President Ramaphosa and President Trump. At least we have seen some laughter, jokes exchanged between the two delegations. So Afri is asking, who did they get killed by? So they're saying he's showing those graveyards. So the complaint comes from white South African farmers, and they're saying, they have been killed by black people, and that's where it comes from. There is, what you have to know is the crime rate in South Africa is insane. It's number one in Africa, and probably it has got some rank in the world as well. But crime is not just like that, you drop it from the sky. It's related with a number of problems in a country. It's unemployment. It's more than 30% of unemployment. That is a major issue that made ANC in its last election to lose its majority for the first time in history after they got their independence after apartheid in 1994. For the first time, ANC always got hold of the majority, and there was no other political parties. They were creating an alliance, but in this last election they were forced to create an alliance. And of course, South Africa, Ramaphosa chose to create an alliance with the white party, with Democratic Alliance, and that was why there was a lot. Those of you who have followed the issue, the election in South Africa, will know about this. But but I hope, Afri, I have answered your question. Definitely, that's what he said. He literally said, President Ramaphosa, this is one of the reasons we came here. We traveled to the United States is because we want your investment. I mean, imagine they have already 600 US companies, and I don't know what more they want, and probably. But yeah, so we need, that's what he said, we need the US investment so that we can decrease the unemployment rate in South Africa, because it is linked. Yes, it is linked to unemployment. Yeah, so leave in a comment section, what do you think of this visit? How do you rate it? Who win, to whose benefit it is? Please share your view. Thanks again, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.